Peace, everybody. All right, I think it's that time for us to talk a little bit about hell. Hell. I had a discussion not too long ago with another brother about this subject, and we landed on two totally different islands. And afterwards, it resonated with me. One of the big reasons why there's so many different views in regards to hell. So first, I spell hell Hell because anytime we hear that word or read that word, we normally think of one thing, one place, one description, and that is people suffering and being tormented in fire. We got a problem. The problem is that one word, Hell, was translated from about 4 different words that actually have different meanings. Notice this. In the Hebrew, the word Sheol means the grave. Consider, realm of the dead, no consciousness, no punishment or reward. That's Sheol, Hebrew, that was translated to hell. Got another one for you. Hades. In the New Testament, we have Hades, Greek word that means just about the same thing as Sheol in the Old Testament. Place of the dead, the grave, no consciousness. What about Gehenna? Greek word used in the New Testament, Valley of Hinnom, place of fire and destruction, symbol of final consumption, destroy, not final torment. So the end is destruction, not ongoing torment. But get this, the Valley of Hinnom is actually a real location in Jerusalem, where kings that had rebelled against Jehovah used to sacrifice children to false gods. Real place. Last one is Tartarus or Tartarus. Greek word meaning prison, which is only used once in the New Testament, mainly for fallen angels, a place of restraint. When we talk about the subject of hell, as though it has this one flat meaning, we're already starting on the wrong foot. That's why I decided to mention the 4 words that hell in our English Bible comes from, as well as their meanings. Notice what we do not see. We do not see any of those meanings painting the picture of eternal torment or suffering in fire. So where do we even get this idea from? Where does it come from? Earlier I said that one of the biggest differences, actually the main component that causes the role when we have this kind of discussion to split is what we understand about the human soul. Some people say that the human soul is immortal, meaning it has life in and of itself that cannot die. Okay, let's go to the basics. Let's go to the root meaning of soul. The Hebrew word for soul is nephesh. Then it's translated into English as soul, S-O-U-L. What does nephesh mean? Check it out. Nephesh has to do with a living being, a living person, desires, emotions, affections, something that is alive. And I say something, someone who is alive. Genesis chapter 2 says that God breathed breath into man's nostrils and man became a living soul or a living being. If we look at the simple formula, God's breath plus man's or human's body equals living being. That's the most simplistic formula. Another definition of soul is psyche. Psyche, where we get psychiatry from. So it has to do with the mind, which going back to desires, affections, and things like that. Well, Ezekiel 18 tells us that the soul that sins, it will die. Sin leads to death. Souls can die. From what I've understood, this idea of the soul being immortal, meaning it could never die even after the body is buried in the grave, became popular from Greek philosophers, not Hebrew philosophers. It's not biblical. It's not something that Jesus taught. Something that became popular amongst Greek philosophers, which means in our journey to understand truth and understand the Bible, it's important for us to separate what was added from external influence and tradition versus what is inspired by God and what is consistent from Genesis throughout. The last thing I want to share with is this. I heard more than one pastor say that Jesus spoke about hell more than any other subject during his ministry. Have you ever read the 4 Gospels for yourself? Have you ever counted the subjects that Jesus the Christ spoke on for yourself? Listen, he did not speak and teach about hell more than anything else. So not only when you hear that, not only is it a flattened understanding or description of what hell is, because if you're going to say Jesus taught about hell, you owe it to your audience to also explain what does hell mean in its original language, as well as in the context that is being used versus teaching that every time we hear the word hell, Hell, is describing this one particular place that is not even defined in any of the original definitions. When I read the Gospels, I see Jesus teaching more about the kingdom of heaven. I see him teaching more about how we are to treat one another. He's teaching more about how to apply faith or trust in the living God. He's not spending all his time and energy talking about some hell. And anytime hell is mentioned, again, important question to ask. What is the context? What is he referring to? So just wanted to share a few thoughts on hell and let us know that it's not the burning flames that we need to be afraid of. It's being consumed by sin that leads to final death. But get this, final death means we will miss out on eternal life. Let's pause for a minute and consider how much time and effort we have invested and we continue to invest in advancing our careers, in developing our minds, in deepening bonds with people who we love and care about. To have a glimpse of the reality that the living God is offering us with eternal life. And to see that for an eternity, we will continue to develop our minds. We will continue to deepen our bonds with loved ones. We will continue to explore God's wonderful creation. We will continue to grow in a knowledge and relationship with the living God. To forfeit that will be the greatest loss of all. Because in that situation, what would this life that we've lived, what would it have been worth? So the new heaven and new earth, the resurrection from the dead, which is what Jesus promises us, is actually a continuation of life in a way that you and I only got a sample of in this world. because there will be no sin, there will be no darkness, there will be no evil in the new heaven and new earth. So no, we don't need to be afraid of burning forever. We need to be afraid of not being healed, not being delivered from the very sin that when it goes unchecked causes us to forfeit what matters the most. Food for thought. Be encouraged. Peace.